So this lawyer, his name is, well, the YouTube channel is CLR Bruce Rivers. He's been making a few videos. He seems to do a lot of legal analysis of like YouTube content stuff, which is pretty cool. And there's a few different videos on Andrew Tate. The one in particular, though, is he analyzes his own incriminating words. So I'm curious about that. So it's a criminal lawyer legally analyzes Andrew Tate's own incriminating words about his business. So I'm curious. You know, let's see what we got here. Okay. Wow. Might have to turn myself down a little bit. Wow. The guy has his own theme song. Cool. Okay.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm
Fun-filled. All right.
Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. And today we're reacting to some criticism I've received online. A lot of the supporters of Andrew Tate think I'm taking things out of context. But before we get to what we're going to talk about today, this episode is brought to you by, what do you think? eForms.com, perhaps? Absolutely. Let's say you're going into a webcam business with Andrew Tate.
I'm assuming that he constantly is doing eForms. Okay.
And you're worried that he's not going to give you a fair shake. Well, you get him to sign a partnership agreement or any kind of business agreement, or if you need a victim from your home, or if you need to give Andrew Tate power of attorney because he wants to control every part of your life, well, then you get...
This guy's a troll. He is sassy. This is a sassy man. This is a sassy guy.
A form from eForms.com. Doesn't matter what state you're in. eForms.com has got just about everything you need. So just go to eForms.com. You don't need a guy like me to do it. Do it yourself on eForms.com. Power of attorney, bill of sale, partnership agreement, rental agreement, whatever you need, eForms.com has you covered. All right. So here's the thing. I think I've come off in one of my last videos as not liking Andrew Tate, and people got offended by that, saying that I'm not being objective.
Well, here's the thing, is that, like, this is the problem, is that there is, you can make a really strong comparison to 15-year-old girls versus 15-year-old boys, okay? If you upset people on the kids on Twitter, for instance, you know, they're going to jump down your throat and you don't understand, blah, 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 blah. If you upset the Andrew Tate followers, they're going to do the exact same thing. It's one of the things that unifies young men and women is that they're all just as stupid and obnoxious. The reality is that there's a lot of content creators who are afraid to speak like honestly about Andrew Tate. Let's not even say the truth, just honestly, because they're so terrified of the audience, especially those with audience overlap, like Ben Shapiro, that they're like, oh. You know, and the Andrew Tate is a viral success. He's done great things. Let's be real. Andrew Tate's done great things. He's incredibly, he's very physically and financially powerful, and also he's very famous. There's another power that he has there, and so people look at that greatness and they're afraid of like the backlash from like the audience mostly. But the reality is he's just not a good guy. Shit, he's terrible when it comes to women. He just doesn't respect them. I mean, we talked about it all the time. Like, how many different times have we talked about like the ways in which like Andrew Tate like talks to women? It's just it's so belittling. You know, if he did all the good stuff without the you know, speaking as negatively about women, talking about, you know, praising historical figures like Genghis Khan, who have for conquering women when, you know, a little more than that, or not caring about women who get their rights taken away in other countries. Like Afghanistan, saying that if women want to be able to go back to university, they should fight men themselves. Stuff like that. Saying that cheating is a moral good. Talking about how men should be able to sleep with as many women as they want, while women should stay to one guy, because how else are you going to know what's going on with the baby? Meanwhile, he has absolutely no weight on companionship between men and women. You know, there's plenty of issues. Plenty of things to criticize, guys. Okay? So...
And that I'm taking some of his things out of context. Let's just talk about what we're talking about here. I talked to you 5 months ago, and I told you that Andrew Tate is going to be on the police blotter. So I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, guess who we see on the blotter? We see Mr. Tate. I knew he was. And it's not just because I don't like him. It has nothing to do with whether I like him or dislike him. This is a legal analysis show, right? I mean, that's the thrust of it. And one of the things I talk about is self-snitching, right? And so... And one of the things that I was trying to...
Ooh, Mr. Beard. Andrew Tate has also written about sending people to the houses of people who criticize him and threaten them, which makes it scary to criticize him. Has he really? Can you send something to me on like Instagram, Ryan? Because I've never heard of that before. That's crazy.
Comment on
how you doing, brother?
There's a treasure trove of stuff that he's put out there to show that he is probably guilty of the crimes that they're talking about. And
true. I mean, again... You know, at one point on his Hustlers University site, he had said that he gets women to fall in love with him to do webcam business. It's just suspicious language, bro. It's definitely suspicious, like a character from the popular video game Among Us.
All the stuff that he's put out there can be used against him, not taken out of context. So what is he charged with? He's charged with sex trafficking. And I would venture to bet that maybe even some tax stuff might come down the pike. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Sex trafficking, there's unless you're dealing with underage, when we don't have any evidence that anybody's underage. But we have three things: force, fraud, or coercion.
Ooh.
Force, obviously, that's like being in chains and not being allowed to leave. Fraud, being kept there under false pretenses. If there's
is that what fraud means? I had no idea. So being kept there under false pretenses. Fraud is any activity that relies on deception in order to achieve a gain. Interesting. Wow, we're learning.
Element of fraud in the way that you are enticing somebody or keeping somebody in a particular position to work for you, and if it's
interesting. So like, what would I know he's going to go into it, but like, what would that mean? Like maybe he told them that they'd make more money than they actually thought or something. Interesting.
In the sex business, that's sex trafficking or coercion, threat of harm or some other way to limit your movement. And so let's kind of look at one of his very first videos that he did. These are his words, not my words. And I'm going to play it, and I'm not going to take it out of context. We'll play this. Let's just make sure I'm not taking things out of context.
When you say webcam company, people assume, oh, it's just a sex fest. But in reality, it's a shitload of people management. The HR category of the webcam business is the largest and most important thing. You're effectively taking girls, teaching them how to make unlimited money from home, and then making sure they give it all to you.
So you're making sure that you're teaching girls how to make a shit ton of money and give it all to you. Now,
wow, wait, that's interesting. Okay, I like this guy. Okay, I like the lawyer mind.
This is one of his first instructional videos. A lot of guys, he's got a lot of fans. And a lot of guys think, oh, in order to have some wealth, you have to have a...
Do you get them to give it to you? Yeah, that sound like I've never thought about it from a legal perspective. We've always thought about it from like a, whatever, I don't know, normal person perspective. But like, yeah, that's like weird to be like, yeah, how do we get them to give all the money to me?
Got it, you have to do this, you have to do that. In order to have wealth, you have to have self-pride. You have to know who you are as a person. And where do you get that from? You get that from building, as I've always said. So I do two things. I like to be motivation for younger guys and women for that matter, who are looking at maybe a possible direction in their career. So I like to motivate people in a very positive way. But the other thing I do is I do offer a legal analysis of what's going on here. Right off the bat, he tells you that his main goal is to have them work for him and him get all the money.
Webcam studios everywhere. There's one webcam studio down the road called Studio 20 with 100 rooms. 100 rooms. 8-hour shifts, 3 girls a day. That's 300 girls a day working, and they all work on LiveGasm. So if you're going to go on LiveGasm, you're going to be competing with big-time guys. And what you want to be competing with is people at home in their bedrooms. You don't want to be competing with serious businessmen, because I know for a fact, Studio 20, the owner of Studio 20 and the owner of the website itself, LiveGasm, are friends, and they've got some kind of backhander agreement. So all the Studio 20 girls appear high on the webpage. They appear at the top of the page. Obviously, if you're going to go on there, you don't want to scroll down 10 pages to find a girl. You're going to go to the girls in the first row. All his girls appear high up because he's giving the guy a backhand. It's all this shady business.
I mean, maybe they just they're more popular. Who cares? I don't know what this part doesn't
matter. Huge competition market.
So you can see his main thrust is just making money, and he doesn't give a shit how he does it. Really, he's going to tell you in a second here the origin of the story, and he's repeated these same concepts through multiple interviews, right? And so when you say I'm taking things out of context, we've sourced this and sourced this and sourced this, and he's repeated it multiple times. Is something when you hear who he wants to compete. He doesn't want to compete with the main factories. He wants to compete with the girls that are at home. So that gives you an indication that he's going. It's like in nature, I suppose. You go after the weakest.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Right now, we're establishing that like Andrew Tate doesn't care about like those women. Now, maybe it's because they're women, which I think that there's probably a level of that to there. But he doesn't really care about the people around him. He just wants to make as much money as humanly possible. And whether it's because they're women or because people that work for him, he doesn't really seem to give too much of a fuck. Like, we all know that all businesses have a financial motivated drive, right? Like, obviously. But we've also seen businesses that care about people. And we see ones that don't. We look at Amazon. They don't care about their workers in their factories when they can't take fucking piss breaks. You know what I mean? But then you look at Costco. These people get paid pretty well. They do all right. You know what I mean? So we see examples of decent businesses.
I told very shortly my story, how I kind of started my whole webcam business. I'll tell it again in detail here. I was fighting. I had some money. I had 70,000 pounds in a safe in my...
One of our viewers had indicated that he's gotten most of his money from fighting. He had 70 grand, 70,000 euros or pounds or whatever he had, and that was it.
Oh wow! So he didn't even make most of his money through fighting. So most of his money is gone through just like this persona he's put on. And the reason I say persona is because it started with Big Brother. It started in Big Brother. I've watched like 3 or 4 seasons of Big Brother. If you watch the show, it's not just a show. It is a weird experience. There's Big Brother the show, which is basically a bunch of people go into a house and they compete. They get $1,000 a week, I think, or a month. I think maybe a month. I don't remember. Maybe it's a week, and then they try to like fight for like 500 grand or something like that. And there's like all these competitions that happen, this, that, and the other thing. You have complete no contact on the outside world. On top of that, there's cameras in the house 24/7, always recording everything. Okay, you can get under your covers, but they're still recording. There's cameras in the bathrooms, I believe, but like they don't necessarily catch the angles that you may be looking for. And there are also absolutely, you can pay, like I think it's CBS All Access, $5 a month or something like that, so you can watch every bit of it if you want to be hyper fucking obsessed. And the atmosphere from the outside of Big Brother is insane. How people are like voting for this and that, and they like this character and that character, and they like blah 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 blah. It's fucking crazy. And Andrew Tate's big pull, and the reason why they liked him so much was because he was a provocateur. He was an intense guy. They're like, oh, he's that like fucking asshole. He's an over sensationalized character, and he's maintained that character partly as a grift. Like I would say. The performance, and he's incredibly as provocative as possible so that he can make money, because I think his primary motivation is money. He doesn't really care about young men, which is why you don't see too much motivation stuff. Like, yeah, he'll talk about it sometimes about how men need to better themselves a little bit, but there's no depth of understanding in what he's saying, right? A lot of the manosphere in general centralizes around shitting on women instead of trying to build up men. It's weird, and it's obsessive, and it's a victim complex, and the fucking, some aspects of feminism do the same. Not all of them, but it's like little boy and little girl feminism, like little boy manosphere and little girl feminism. I don't know what to say. There's good male advocation out there, but it's not here. It's not in here. It's a lot of times it's like generating a victim complex. If any group focuses more on breaking down the other group rather than building up their own group, you know that it's all bullshit. Like regardless of whether it's feminism, wow, I just got smoked. I'm just gonna continue. Whether it's like feminism or like manosphere ideology or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's toxic. That's the reality.
In my house, I wanted to buy property in Thailand and move to Thailand. I needed 80,000. I was 10 grand short, and I thought I'd go to the casino and make the 10.
That's also telling. I'm going to go to the casino and try to make money when he's not even a gambler. You guys, stay away from the casino. There's a reason that they're so big.
Bro.
Which was obviously, we all know how that story went. So I lost 30, so now I need 40. I needed it quickly. So I was sitting there trying to find a way to make money. So how can I make money? And what I did was, I said to Tristan, I'm literally not leaving.
Just the fact that he like was so desperate to make money at the casino. Again, it just seems like he just wanted as much money as possible. The guy's motivations are terrible.
In my room until I wait for us to make more money, because I can only fight so many times per year, and I know their income. So I got a pen and paper, and I was on YouTube, like researching, how people make money, what millionaires have, and they kept talking about assets. I was sitting there thinking, what assets do I have? I'm trying to buy a property. I mean, I didn't own a property in the UK.
Now, think about the word asset. What is an asset?
Well, like a thing you own, right? Like a hat or a cup or a house, a car.
So this hat is an asset. It's not worth much, but it's really the brand is worth a lot more than the hat is. But what is an asset? The office, the building, your brand. Those are assets. Things that you own are assets.
Times I didn't pay any tax to anyone. I didn't want to pay taxes, so I didn't buy a house to confirm me. So I was like, what?
And keep in mind, keep that tax theme in the back of your head.
What assets do I have? Okay, I have a car. I have this, I have that, and then I realized I had about 5 girlfriends, all smoking hot. And females are an asset.
There we go. Just calling females an asset. Just the way, like I would never talk about like a person like that. Like my wife's not an asset. My wife is like a person. Like nobody talks like that. That's really weird language.
Attractive females are absolutely an asset. And if you disagree with me, walk in the club with 10 blondes. And you'll see who the most important guy in the club is. Fuck the champagne shows.
Who the fuck cares who the most important guy?
So what's interesting here is, see, this is where it gets almost dog whistly. But like when you hear asset, I hear disrespect women. Other people hear value, right? But what we're really saying is property. Ultimately, attractive women tend to, from a societal perspective, carry a particular amount of value, right? Life is a little if you're a beautiful woman, life is easier than if you're not a beautiful woman, right? There's the thing called the halo effect, and it's not just men and women. Like, if you're a beautiful woman, life is easier. If you're for men, it can happen as well. As if like you're a tall guy, and you speak like very boisterously, life's easier for you as well, because there's different ways that different people interact. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a 6'4" guy, people are going to interact with you differently from like a 5 foot guy, right? It's the reality, and you could say that there's more value in that, but to call it an asset is like value plus property. And it's these subtle things that's like, okay, like all these things add up together. All the things that he says, like how he speaks about women, their assets, taking ownership over his girlfriend's OnlyFans if she decided to do one, taking like 80% of the money, talking about how men should be able to sleep with as many women as possible, but women shouldn't do that. They need to be committed to one guy. All these things, they can encourage themselves. They bring themselves up to this like this point of overall just being disrespectful to women.
Guy in the club is the most insecure guy in the club. It's important to that guy. But it should never be important to you to be the most important guy in the club. What should be important to you is the people around you having their respect, but having their respect because not because you're walking in there with 12 wands.
I've walked in a club with 10 girls, and there's guys next to me doing champagne shows. Is anyone looking at their table or my table? I don't give a fuck about their table. Pussy is the most important driving force of this planet. Pussy is the only reason that empires were started and wars were waged. It's the only reason all you guys are out there are even interested in having money. If there was no pussy about, you wouldn't care about having money. You say,
I guess, but like I feel like it's not just that; it's a companionship. I don't know. Like it's, yeah, I guess so. It's a little more than that. It's just like a very watered down version of
I'll have a little
life.
bit of money and I'll just play chess all day. I don't care. I'll play video games. The only reason we want cars and clothes and six-packs
A lot of people want that, but okay.
and houses and shit is for girls.
That is so simplistic.
It is.
Girls are the driving force.
It's so hard to like really talk like about that. Sure, like I think everybody wants to do better to be considered more attractive to like the opposite sex. I think that's true, right? But the way that he talks about it is so bizarre because it's so much more than that. It's more than just getting a girl to have sex with them. Like just boiling it down to that is another like little concern. Like it's all about pussy. It's like, no, it's about people. If that you're attracted to and wanting to get somebody that's like a compatible partner that you could be with in the long term. It's not just about having sex. It's a very empty life. There's a lot more to that. Especially when you get older, you'll realize that like it's a lot more than just having sex.
So when I realized I had all these assets, I had to find a way to monetize the assets.
Now remember, the assets, were something you own. He's got 5 women that he believes are his assets. Now he's going to make money off of them.
I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time. Straight street pimping is completely... In fact, no, it's not a completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same.
So now I'm not taking things out of context. He's saying the psychological aspect of what he's going to be doing is the exact same psychological aspect of street pimping.
What? Wait.
For a long time.
Believes are his assets. Now he's going to make money off of them.
I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time. Straight street pimping is completely... In fact, no, it's not a completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same.
So...
Wow. That's insane. Listen, street pimping is a hell of a game. It is a lot of times about breaking down women so that they feel they're working for you. You own them. You take most of the money that they get. You barely show them any positivity. They're just a dog to be worked for the streets. And you'll hurt them if they don't do what you want. That's crazy. This is really telling. This is actually insane. This video is insane.
Now, I'm not taking things out of context. He's saying the psychological aspect of what he's going to be doing is the exact same psychological aspect of street pimping. And that is...
Wow.
Of what we're going to do.
It's way more than control. It is like outright manipulative abuse, bro.
The skill I'm going to teach you is exactly the same. I could easily translate mine to a street business, and you could easily street pimp with the things I'm going to teach you.
Wow.
I didn't want no one else fucking my girl.
This guy has receipts.
I want to fuck my girls. I want some other guy fucking my girls. What the fuck's the point in that? So, long story short, blah, 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 blah. Discovered webcam and went from there. Flew all 5 girls in at once, sat them all down, so I've been going out with all of you. Here's the truth. Starting a business, you want to make money or not. 2 decided to stay. 3 started crying, got back on the plane, because they're all different places in the world. I had them when I was fighting. So I went and fought in Slovakia, I've got a girlfriend. Went and fought in France, got a girlfriend. Went and fought, so I had other girls around the world. So I told them all to fly in, sat them all down together. Like, who the fuck are all these other girls?
So
like,
interesting that like 2 of them consented to starting this webcam business. But I'm going to make a reasonable assumption that Andrew Tate wasn't very expressive about like how he's going to treat them like a common street whore. So, okay, interesting.
Okay, truth time. Bang.
All these other girls probably think they're exclusive before they come to him, right?
Yeah, probably.
And now all of a sudden he lays the truth down on him. What is that's deception from the very beginning.
That's
His
shitty
words,
for sure.
not mine.
I'm a G. I'm fucking you all.
I'm a G.
I'm gonna start a business. You're all gonna live here with me. 3 got back on the plane. 2 decided to stay. 2 weeks later, 1 left, and so I was left with 1. But starting with 1 is good.
Okay.
First 2 weeks, I fucked them together a few times.
The G, as he calls himself, started with 5. Now he's down to 1. How much respect would you have for the one girl that's still standing there? The 4.
Not very much, honestly. This is one of the things people need to understand as Andrew Tate advocates for like cheating on women and all that. No, and like the manosphere, no man will respect a woman who will allow them to be cheated on. Just want to be very clear. And when it comes to like a dynamic of when it comes to a dynamic of even being in an open relationship, they're not going to respect you very much if it's not like an even relationship, because you want to set that standard. And so like, yeah, maybe you're a woman that's in an open relationship, but you don't really want it to be one-sided, because it's gonna generally cause like a level of disrespect, because like you're not worth treating with equal standards, right? That's kind of the reality here. Wow, though, but very interesting. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate, but it's the reality.
4 girls, thank God that they had the sense. But really, who is the bigger man? Is the bigger man that's the fucking poser who walks into a club with 12 girls? Or is the bigger man who is the honorable guy who stands by his family, raises a family, has a decent job, goes to work every day, is solid? I'd rather go to a pub than a club any day.
Bro, this guy is this is what I'm talking about. This is a fucking real man. Bro, you got lawyers out here now talking about what it means to be a real man. That's how fucked the landscape is.
Are that guy, not the G, but when you are a solid guy where you're
a good man, good men drive the world forward. Andrew Tate is a great man. He makes a lot of money, and that's it. He's a fucking disrespectful piece of shit who will not teach you how to have a strong, loving companionship with a person and have a really strong, solid family. He's in his 30s, still trying to date like legal adults that are very young, and it's weird. It's not illegal, but you should be very like, why is what does a 35-year-old have in common with a 20-year-old? It's immaturity. It's because he doesn't want somebody to respect on his level, because weak men will date people they feel are weak. That's the reality. All these guys are like, yeah, like, listen, you're allowed to have your types. If you're into a lot of super young women who haven't experienced the world, or men, right? If you're a woman that's into super young, like, you're immature. Like, what do you do? Why do you want to date somebody that doesn't really understand the world? It's weird. I'm not saying it's predatory, but it's another little thing that's like, that's weird. There's one thing to go after somebody 5 years younger. It's different if you're like 50 and 30, right? That's different. But like in those 20s, it's like, dude, didn't Papa Gut say being single in your 30s is a red flag too? Yes, I did. It is a red flag to be single in your fucking 30s, generally speaking. Not all the time, but generally speaking. That's the reality. Some people don't want to be with somebody. Maybe they've learned to live their life alone, for sure. But like, generally speaking, if you got a 30-something-year-old that's single looking for fucking girls that are in their young early 20s, give me a fucking break. Absolutely.
You're not trying to manipulate anybody, and you're a provider for your family, and you are a solid, straight guy. That's the G.
Whoa,
that's the
I'm a gay guy.
Who's the real man.
Your goal is to inspire a girl to...
Like I was saying, Andrew Tate is a great man. He's not a good man. He's not going to teach you the right values that you need. All right? I think it's a lot easier to become a great person, famous, if you don't hold to any strong, positive, good values.
Make money and give you the money.
Your goal is to rip her off. That's really what he's telling you. Those are his words. I'm not taking anything out of context.
A lawyer is someone who sometimes gets criminals out of trouble, is talking down on somebody else. That's how you know. Well, first of all, I don't think that your understanding of how like lawyers work is particularly robust, right? Lawyers, the idea fundamentally is about people getting the best representation they can to represent their side of the story, right? There are lawyers who get like really bad people off, for sure. There's also lawyers who help like accurately represent the people that they're dealing with and help contextualize what's going on. Everybody has right to legal, accurate representation on both sides to display their perspective with an individual whose job it is to navigate the law. Everybody has the right to have a lawyer, right? Or else you'll get completely steamrolled over, right? He might have got some people that are guilty off. That, I'm not saying it's ideal, but we're talking about a lawyer versus a guy who is setting up a webcam farm in a way that is akin to street pimping, which is horribly abusive. So your weird defense rounding is it's silly. It's just a joke. Stop with the just a joke. What are you, Andrew Tate? Listen, brother. It's all right if you disagree with me. I don't think it was just a joke, my man.
Thanks. We're not shopping this.
But maybe I'm wrong.
This is his little seminar that he was pitching to all these guys out there who think he's got something to offer.
So the way you're going to do that is
you
have to have some element of influence, and you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you.
Now that is a critical thing.
You looking up to you, and her believing she needs you.
Wow, that's really predatory. Believing that she needs you.
Now that is a critical.
I believe you, brother.
Thing. The old pimps, what they would do is they'd find some young girl at the bus station. This is an old school kind of thing, or go to the mall or whatever, and they shower them with gifts, and then they think they're the best, and these are chicks that don't have any self-esteem whatsoever, and then they start working for them, and then but it's a slow process.
Yeah,
it's a slow process.
I mean, it's effectively grooming in some capacity for sure. It's funny. I was just saying that it's almost impossible to groom an adult, but I guess this would be the way that you would do. You would I guess so. Like prostitutes are basically groomed by their pimps. Like you get a girl, you put her in a situation, and you slowly get her, disconnect her from her surroundings. Maybe you pay her a little bit here and there. You treat her decently at first, and as time rolls on, she has less and less connectivity to the outside world. All of a sudden, boom. Like now she's stuck in this incredibly abusive dynamic with nobody to get out, to talk to, nobody else to lean on or depend on, and bam. Right?
Of mind control and physical control with money, control with emotions, and physical control.
And this is extremely important because at the beginning she will need you, but then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive.
Fallacy, that's his word, not taking this out of context. So she'll need you at first.
Fallacy, that's false, that's fakeness, right?
But you have to keep her convinced that she does need you. That's how you control, that's the control part. And it is a fallacy. And what is fallacy? Fraud.
She can't do this without you, to ensure that she doesn't do it without you. So this is what screen share is all about. Effectively, this is the way the business works. The girl sits on the camera. Now, when the girl is on camera, and you would have seen from my promotional video, that was at the height of my webcam empire. The blonde in that video I'm still with now. You'll see from there how we explain that there's people typing or pretending to be the girl 24 hours a day. So it hasn't got to be 24.
That part, I suppose, is fine in terms of a business model.
Yeah, it's just weird. Could you imagine being some dude like paying for a webcam girl and it's just like another dude like seeing what you're saying and like, oh, I love you, sweetie. It's weird, but wouldn't they see the girl not typing on the thing?
But it's fraud. I mean, he's the one typing, and so you think you're getting all excited by something she's saying, and here you're really communicating with Andrew Tate.
But that method is very important for two reasons. Okay. First reason, listen up, motherfucker. So the girl's on the webcam. She's sitting here. When a girl is on camera, she has a public room which people will visit. And they will spend money in and talk shit.
And when you think about it, the people that he's appealing to on these webcams are just a bunch of really lonely guys, and there's a ton of them out there.
It is your job to train the girl to talk to and interact with that public room as much as possible. So when people come in the room and say, oh, hey, how are you? She's like, they type.
It's so interesting because there are a lot of guys with like, they'll spend all this money on girls in this weird way that doesn't have any like long-term positive. And I don't truly understand it. Maybe there's probably some guys who just want to like do it for a quick whatever, who cares? But my thing is like, I don't know, man. Like I've heard some stories of people that are like, oh, like I have a really bad situation going on with like my wife and kids or whatever. And I'm not really getting the love that I want. And I get this intimacy from a webcam person, but it's all fake intimacy. And while I'm sure both the husband and wife are having a negative impact on the relationship, and she may even be pushing him to do this, it would make more sense for both of them to try to emotionally invest into bettering their relationship and using that money to better invest in their relationship, rather than to go off to some like young model girl that can't give you anything long term in any capacity. Like spend that energy on trying to build your relationship back up. It's not easy. But like, what do you think is better? Like throwing away money on some random webcam girl for some fake idea of love, or really trying to get your shit together? The
men type, "Hey, how are you?" Comes in the box. She goes, "Oh, hey, I'm fine, thank you." And
Destiny watched this video and he mentioned how crazy it is that law enforcement and lawyers watch that and comb through social media to find evidence. Well, that's their job. Yeah, that's their job.
She has to make sure her public room is engaging and interesting as much as possible to keep people in the room. Now, while the
there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. What do you?
Okay, hold on. Sorry.
And she has to make sure her public room is engaging and interesting as much as possible to keep people in the room.
Yeah, that's normal. Sure.
Now, while the
there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. What he's actually doing.
Well, actually, that's like, I mean, you could say the same thing about live streaming. You're just trying to stay as interesting and engaging to keep people in the room at the same time. Like, that makes perfect sense. Sure.
It's the nature of how he's getting the girls there and keeping them there.
She can also receive private messages. And all those private messages, you are...
Oh, what did I just do? Oh.
So you can see his main thrust. He had 70 grand.
Males are absolutely...
What we'd do is they'd find some young girl at the bus station.
Conversations with men than a girl could ever have on her own. Because she's too busy on her own. She's overwhelmed. She can't talk to them. And all those private messages, you are going to reply to. And you're going to reply to them via screen share on a computer in a different room. As long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network, you're having more conversations with men than a girl could ever have on her own. Because she's too busy on her own. She's overwhelmed. She can't talk to all these people. So some guys you have to negotiate with, some guys you have to do a deal with, some guys whatever. You can do all that shit. But even more importantly, it makes the girl believe that she can't do it without you.
That's a recurring thing.
Interesting. Now, it's possible that she may not be able to, or it's possible that she is able to, but what they're trying to do is create an atmosphere and an idea that you can't do this without me and you need me to be successful. Interesting.
That she can't do it without you. She is reliant on you. She needs you. And why is that important? Because if she thinks she can do it on her own, guess what? She does it on her own, and you've lost your profit center. That's what he's talking about. That's why the control is such an important aspect of what he does.
At the beginning, she can, but there'll become a point she can't. But you being here, it synergizes this teamwork energy. We're going to do this together. Yeah, you go on the camera. Don't worry. I'll talk to the guys. I'm going to talk to them. We're a team. Happy, positive teamwork. There's no negative energy in this business. You have to be positive. So by you typing for the girl, you maximize your money, and also she believes she needs you, which is extremely important. Later on down the line, I got to the point where I'd hired typers. So I didn't have to type. So I'd hired girls to sit and type and pretend to be the girls. So I had girls online. I had an office full of girls pretending to type. So I had 4 typers, 20 girls online, for example. Another reason you use Chatterbait is because they will pay you in Bitcoin.
This is another critical part of what he does.
I'm assuming that he wants to be paid in Bitcoin because it's like less traceable and it's a little bit more, you could use it for less than stellar reasons.
That may impact a criminal prosecution of him later. And if you recall at the beginning of this video, he talked about not wanting to own property because he didn't.
What is that? Wait, when you give this money on cam, are they considered donation or payroll if donation tax write-off? Just so you know, like when you receive a donation, it's not a tax write-off. Like donations to like charities are tax write-offs, but if you donate $10 to me, I have to pay taxes on that. So just so you know.
Want to pay taxes, and him not paying taxes is a recurring theme.
Interesting. That makes sense. I didn't even think of the tax perspective. I thought of just like, I guess I did. I just thought about like getting around like law enforcement. But like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So if he's avoiding taxes, you can't avoid taxes with Bitcoin. I mean, you still owe the money. If you're making money, it's income. You have income taxes. Just because you're paid in Bitcoin doesn't mean that you don't owe.
Yeah, but I imagine it makes it harder to trace so that like they can't prove that they have the money. Interesting.
So let's continue.
They'll pay you in Bitcoin. You put in your Bitcoin address, and they'll pay you in Bitcoin. And this is amazing because you've all seen the thought audit shit that's going on. You've all seen the fucking legalities of banking. Trying to get money out of these sites into your bank without paying a shitload of tax is actually very difficult.
See, it's that whole avoiding taxes. And it's not legal to do that. It's not legal to not pay your taxes.
Are you serious? Is it really not legal to pay your taxes? Are you serious, bro?
And that was going to be about an hour segment of this fucking thing. But we don't need to do that anymore because in the last 6 months, Chatterbait have released a Bitcoin option. So they'll pay you in Bitcoin. So if your girl on there working, let's say you generate $3,000-$4,000, bang, you get Bitcoin into your wallet. Done. No fucking tax, no thought audit, none of that shit. And I had a separate phone with all my girls' guys in that phone, and I kept control of it.
Oh, I forgot.
And I would speak to them, and before she went online, I would tell her like any basic information. You don't let your girl have this because if your girl ever runs off and leaves you, which is going to happen to some of you at least, you don't want her to have an address book of all the guys she can get money from.
Interesting. Okay, I mean, I get what. Okay, yeah. So like they couldn't. So now they don't even know who they're dealing with. So they couldn't potentially, like disconnect from them, and move on. Okay, interesting.
Another aspect of control. You don't want her to have your client list because if she has your client list,
and like let's be real, that is like general business practices to try not to have like somebody who works for you to have the client list. But it's just all these different factors built up together that makes it like suspicious.
she can leave you. So you've got to restrict her information. So it's systematic, and it's a systematic method of control to control these women. Now, these are not my words. These are his words, and his words alone.
Bitcoin can be traced. The reason he wants to use crypto is because when combined with a mixer or a tumbler, something that washes the Bitcoin, you can not pay taxes. So it's basically like money laundering. Is that what you're saying? How does it wash the Bitcoin?
You want her to leave and go, well, I don't know the account. I don't have the password to the account. I've never set it up before. I don't know how the banking works. I don't have any of my guys' phone numbers. I have nothing. And that's why they don't want to leave. Because like, oh, well, he has everything. I need him. I have to stay with him. He has everything. It's important. I'm telling you, it's a very important element, that control.
It's a very important element, that control.
The girls are like, what the fuck do I need this dude for? And they will leave if you don't have every aspect under control. Tax is also another important element for controlling your woman. You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody.
That's not legal advice, by the way.
Andrew Tate's a moron. Oh my God.
Tell your girl that you're paying the tax. Because girls are lazy, and girls are stupid, and girls don't understand how taxes work. So the girls working.
I mean, like, that's a meme. I would say the same. My wife doesn't understand taxes, but like, so it's like, it'd be funny if he was joking, but he's literally not going to pay them. So he's going to get tax-free money, and then he's going to tell the girls that he's paying taxes so that they will receive less of the portion of the money. This way he could be like, well, I can't pay you this much because I have to pay taxes on it. So like, haha, tee-hee, funny joke. But at the end of the day, he means this. He's like, yeah, girls are dumb. They're gonna like, they don't understand taxes. Like, what? I mean, I don't know. Not everybody understands how to dodge your taxes, but sure.
With you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we've made this much money, but I'm going to pay the tax to make sure we don't get in trouble. She'll sit there and go, okay. Now that allows you to do two things. One is another control element.
See how that control is a recurring theme over and over and over again?
I work with him, my tax is not a problem. If I do it alone, I have to deal with taxes. Taxes are complicated. It's a control element.
And he doesn't have respect for these women at all.
Oh, clearly he doesn't, yeah.
Stupid. It allows you to pay her a smaller percentage. So I used to pay my girls 30%. So for every $10,000 they made, I'd give them 3, and I'd keep 7. They thought
wow, is that how math works?
they were on 50%. And I said that the disparity is because of taxes. So you're on 50%, we had to pay the tax first, and then it's 50-50.
What a scumbag. I mean, okay. Why would you even take that much? I mean, I guess you have the building and infrastructure. I feel like you could probably pay them better, but sure.
You say, why is it 50-50? Because I'm the one on camera. You say, because I'm the one typing, I'm the one with the property you're working in, I'm the one paying the bills, the electricity, I'm the one who's, and the electricity and every other maintenance cost of this property, I'm the one who bought the equipment, I'm the one who knows what he's doing, I'm the one with the knowledge, I'm the da-da-da-da-da-da. Shut the fuck up, go on. And they should be pretty happy with that if they respect you as a person overall. So really you're paying 30, you tell them you're paying 50, the difference is in the tax. That's where the disparity lies, taxes. If they don't believe you or they want to get fresh or whatever, print out some tax
I got a hair in my mouth.
forms. I used to do this all the time. I used to print out some random tax forms and say, yeah, sign here, sign this. What is it? It's for the tax. You want to pay the tax or not? Oh, okay. And they just sign away. They don't know what fucking signing. I'll throw them away afterwards. But they think something's happening. Something real's happening. Nothing's happening except me getting rich, bitch.
Nothing's happening except for me getting rich, bitch. That's what he just said. He's
manipulating these women. Yeah.
Taking another 20% of what would have been their earnings, saying he's paying taxes, but he's not paying taxes. His words. Having them even sign a dummy tax form that is just to try to convince her even more that he's paying some taxes, which is just ridiculous. And so, what is the middle word? Fraud. That's fraud. Force, fraud, or coercion.
Anyway, so tax is another important element to keep control of the girl. You have to fuck the girls. You cannot do a business relationship with a female, and I'll tell you why.
You have to fuck the girls? Why? What does that mean? Okay, so based on everything we've seen so far, him saying you have to fuck the girls comes off as incredibly red flag to me. Like, you have to fuck the girls. Like, it just feels more serious now based on all the context that we have about Andrew Tate. So, like, to me, it suggests if you have to fuck them, well, what if they don't want to fuck you? No, you have to fuck them. So, like, how far does this go? You might think I'm reaching, but with the energy that's coming off here, I don't think I'm reaching at all.
Women have sex with somebody. If they're not fucking you, they're fucking somebody else. Now, a woman's always going to be the most loyal to the guy she's fucking, as opposed to anyone else for any other reason. If you have a girl work for you and you say, look, we're going to go to business partners, we're going to make money, here's your cut, here's my cut, we're going to work together, blah, 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 blah. Here's the fucking, I've had dudes.
I don't know how his audio got worse.
I've known loads of guys who've, like, tried to do a contract with a girl, tried to sit there and talk common sense to a girl. When's the last time talking common sense to a girl has ever worked?
I don't know, today when I talked to my wife. You respect women, and it's not that hard to find times that you can have conversations with somebody. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ever. If you're not fucking the girl, she is fucking someone else. And that other person she's fucking is going to have the control over her mind.
Again, control. Control her through money, control her through information, control her through manipulation, control her through sex.
As opposed to you.
Cool.
And if he controls her mind and you don't control her mind, once she starts to pick it up a bit after a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and realizes how to make money on her own, is she going to stay and keep paying you, or is she going to run off and pay her boyfriend, or them two are going to go traveling in Southeast Asia and she's going to work as she goes, or she's going to go to her boyfriend and say, look, fuck it, you type for me. What you actually turn these things into is Bitcoin. So effectively what a webcam company is doing is mining Bitcoin. But instead of mining Bitcoin the traditional way with huge electricity expenses and massively expensive equipment and space and cooling and all that bullshit, you mine Bitcoin with some pussy and titties.
You mine Bitcoin with pussy and titties. That's what he just said. Did I take that out of context? I don't think I did. My whole point in bringing this up is not to bash Andrew Tate, although I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
and I
clearly.
don't
Who
care
would
to
be?
even pretend that I'm a fan. But it's an interesting case. It's an interesting case because it has international intrigue, but you also have, from his own words, the control aspect. How important it is to control these women. I think the government, with this video, with just this one video alone, has an excellent foundation for the sex trafficking charge. But more than that, they also have probably a tax beef that they could levy against him once they start diving into his books. In analyzing this, I really don't want you to think I'm taking anything out of context, because I'm not. But let's see, in his own words, how he's recruited, lured, or retained.
It's so interesting that like he has to go so above and beyond to prove to children that Andrew Tate's a red flag. And he's doing a phenomenal job. But that's most of the criticism. Most of it's coming like it's not like a way to be disparaging of Andrew Tate's audience. It's an understanding of like that used to be my audience too when I was saying super fucking based shit on TikTok. I would do it because I enjoyed edgy jokes and I like to have some fun, but I'd also talk about like more progressive narratives. A lot of people interpreted what I used to say as just shitting on women, and they loved me for it. And when I realized it, I was like, oh, fuck. That's the audience. And they'll go after people. Like they'll give people their mind. That's why for a long time, like I largely didn't receive criticism. Honestly, it's because there are so many people that would like go to bat with me, and I respect it and I appreciate that. But there were also so many that were so toxic and would be like so hateful to the people that I messaged. And it takes a while to like really understand it. Like that's what's happening here.
In these girls.
Then you start saying things like, oh yeah, but you're always working. I have to do some traveling and you can't come. I want to bring you with me. Traveling's a great one because the thing about this business is mobile. If you can find a good Airbnb with good internet, you can run it somewhere else. So it's a good little caveat to throw in. Oh, and you're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So you'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So, okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen. Come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. You, your bottom bitch, the new girl, you go out for fucking a nice dinner. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from a girl. And this is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Remember Glenn?
So now he's using what he's saying is he's basically using another woman to generate false comfort instead of talking to him, someone that's like less intimidating, a woman that's like, see, he treats women so well. You should be part of the blah, blah, blah. Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, that was the girl that recruited for Jeffrey Epstein. Almost identical to what he's talking about here.
Damn.
When you put all this
Epstein.
into context, you have the way he structured his business. One of the ways that he's lured the girls is by having another girl there, identical to what Epstein was doing. Now, and this is the danger when you have so much stuff that's out there that's reckless, right? Let's see what he has to say about the Romanian court system and their jails.
Romanian courts are also, oh no, not court in Romania. They're corruption-free, as we all know. Put me in jail. I'm going to walk in there with a pile of money like this.
I'm going to walk in there with a pile of money like this.
Oh, my
Did he walk in there with a
Lord.
pile of money?
Oh my God, he's got him on that. Because I remember Andrew Tate talking about getting out. Dude, this video is insane. But I remember Andrew Tate talking about two motivations to go to Romania. One was to buy government corruption. He mentions in the podcast he talked about getting out of traffic tickets or whatever. But obviously here, showing a little bit more. Number two was talking about how prevalent the Me Too movement is, and now he's on charge of the Me Too movement. Bro, this destroys Andrew Tate. This is incredible.
This is hose. This sells mine. I'm ready. Put me in jail. I don't give a fuck. You take her court case. Show that.
This is incredible.
He's now in a jail in Romania. He is now going to be subject to the courts in Romania. He just, on this video, I'm sure the prosecutors have this, because I have it. If I have it, they have it. Flouting, taunting, showing complete and utter disregard for the Romanian court system, which he's now going to be facing. Now, if you recall, the statement from his own lawyer said Mr. Tate has nothing but the utmost respect for the court system. Well, that's not what it says here. So what I'm trying to get at here is the case for them to be made. And granted, women may come here by their own will or come to Romania and work for him, but there are statements from women saying they wanted to leave. They were controlled. He controlled their passports. He controlled every part of their movement.
Wow.
Because if they can come and go as they please, he doesn't have a continuous source of revenue. He doesn't have money coming in. And that's his only goal. He doesn't give a shit about anything else.
Based, yeah.
So you tell me
like
where I've taken things out of context. I haven't taken one thing out of context. This is what he's charged with. These are his own words. And
this is nutty.
Every ounce of this will be used in a court of law. It absolutely will. And so when you're looking at rape charges, sex trafficking charges, and I would venture to guess some tax counts, he's looking at some very, very serious charges.
Yeah, for sure.
If there's anything that ties him to the U.S. on this, he could be facing prosecution in the United States as well. This is just an honest assessment of this case. And do I like Andrew Tate? No, but who cares if I like him or don't like him? And I think it would be wrong.
I doubt, not for nothing, but this guy, first of all, came with the fucking receipts, boy. But on top of that, do you think that it's worth his credibility to just falsely go after some random fucking person on the internet? Let's be absolutely real here. I don't think it would be. I don't think that he would do that. He would put his own credibility in jeopardy just to hate on Andrew Tate as a lawyer, because that's not going to make him look any better as a lawyer.
For me to take things out of context and do a
video
character
was
assassination
incredible,
piece on him, but which isn't what we're doing. But I do think anybody that relies on him for a role model is misguided.
True.
He's not an honorable guy. He doesn't show respect to women. He doesn't show respect to anybody that doesn't have a Bugatti. What color is your Bugatti? What color is your Bugatti? Oh, my Bugatti. Bullshit. You don't need a Bugatti to be respected. And I would never own a Bugatti. And I'm not saying anything against them. They're kind of cool cars. But what does it cost for a brake job? I mean, it's like $25,000 or something outrageous amount of money.
I'll stick with my Kia Soul.
The average guy can't do that anyway. I'm more average than I am. Than I am like Tate. And absolutely. But I like.
Fair enough, but to say that avoiding taxes is stupid, because I'd say about 70% of your taxes go to defense and is government programs that you might say help wars continue. Well, first of all, he was in Romania, so your argument is a little silly. Second of all, 70% of our taxes don't go to Romania. I just want you to be very explicit, or excuse me, don't go to defense. A lot of it does. A lot of it does go to the military. I want to say, let's see, approximately 20% of the federal budget is spent on defense. So 20%. You said 70%. 20% of our federal budget does go to our defense. Now, that means a lot of things. That doesn't all mean war. That means different forms of security, like maintaining the Coast Guard and military police, stuff like that. I think some of that goes to other countries and helping subsidize their police force if they're not super strong. Who said we all avoid taxes? What? Is that what he said? I don't know where you got 70% on, but a lot of it just goes to infrastructure to help your country, right? You also pay federal and local taxes, and you use that money to, build up your community through schooling, through roads, through all this other bullshit. So you kind of just made up the 70%.
Or something outrageous amount of money. Cars. But what does it cost for a brake job? I mean, it's like $25,000.
Did he say that everybody avoids their taxes?
No, the average guy can't do that anyway. I'm more average than I am. Than I am like Tate. And absolutely. But I like what I do. I like being a criminal defense lawyer. I love being a father. I love being a role model.
Where did he say that everybody avoids their taxes? Did he actually say that? What are you talking? I didn't hear him say that.
Everybody around me. I love supporting all of my employees and being there for people.
Based.
I love hearing stories from you guys saying, "Hey, you."
Oh, the bomb said it. Somebody else said it. Some people do. I personally don't. I'm afraid to avoid my taxes. I literally pay all my taxes.
Inspired me to go to law school. I mean, I love that. And so when you
don't lose.
Look for a role model, look in another direction.
True.
This guy's going down, and I don't mean that. But the case is, he's making the case for them with his own words.
True.
So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and sign up for Patreon. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
All right. I mean, that video was incredible. I really don't know how else to say it. That was an incredible video. That just exposed the fuck out of Andrew Tate in a really meaningful way. So we'll see. Andrew Tate, you have 24 hours to respond. All right, Andrew Tate, you have 24 hours to respond to this video. No, but seriously, this video, like, this is what I was saying earlier today in the stream, is that Andrew Tate, the manosphere Andrew Tate bubble is going to burst. And here it is. Because you have these fucking lawyers who are, this guy probably paid his employee a livable wage to go and hunt down all this. He's like, look for all the clips of Andrew Tate. And here we go. We have a video of him saying that, like, his relationship with the girls in the webcam business was akin to street prostitution, which is a massively destructive thing to do. It is horrible for the women that are involved. It's horrible. It's abusive. And there you go. The destruction. This is the literal downfall of Andrew Tate.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.